Good morning, my Real News Midday TV family. Thank you so much for tuning in this morning, and I'm wishing for everyone a wonderful and a blessed Christmas. And in the news this morning for December 25, 2023, opposition senator blames Holness administration for additional 2,300 lives lost over past 8 years. While charging that the Andrew Holness-led administration is bankrupt of ideas to bring crime and violence under control, opposition Senator Peter Bunting has highlighted that 2,300 more Jamaicans have been killed in the last 8 years since the Jamaica Labour Party has been in power. Mapping the number of persons killed in the last 16 years across the different administrations, Bunting pointed out that during the People's National Party tenure, 2012 to 2015, there was an average murder rate of 1,129 in comparison to an average 1,416 murders over the JLP's current 8-year reign. On average, 287 more Jamaicans have been murdered each year under this JLP administration than during the previous PNP administration, a whopping 25% increase in the annual murder rate between the two periods. That means 2,300 more Jamaicans have been murdered over the last 8 years than if this JLP administration had just maintained the rate that was obtained under the previous 2012-2015 PNP administration, the senator asserted during the State of the Nation debate last Thursday in the Senate. According to Bunting, the opposition take no joy in publicizing the information, but there are vested interests including the Holness political administration, its cronies and apologists who would prefer if the PNP remains silent on the matter. He added, however, we cannot talk about good governance, about accountability, yet hide the Andrew Holness administration's abject failure at fighting violent crime. The opposition cannot be complicit in manufacturing the consent of the people against their own interest. We owe it not just to the memory of the thousands murdered, but to the tens of thousands of grieving relatives and friends, to the terrified eating communities, to the environment of fear that causes people to take with themselves if they see an armored cash delivery vehicle in the vicinity, he said. Bunting said the Jamaica Constabulary Force crime statistics for January 1 to December 16 show that 1,349 persons have been killed, which is an 8% reduction over the corresponding period last year. However, he said the government and the JCF have failed to highlight that last year's stats had the second highest numbers since the May 2010 Tivoli incursion. At the current rate, he said the projections are that there will be approximately 1,400 murders. But while noting that the JCF and the police commissioner have been taunting and celebrating the monthly reduction in murder over the several months, Bunting said there has been public confusion and disbelief as the daily reports of multiple killings do not accord with the reduction. In the same vein, he said the daily reports of murders further belie the administration's reliance on the use of states of emergency as effective crime-fighting strategies and their supposed success. He then pointed to several recent high-profile murders, including the murder of the Moody siblings in Westmoreland, well-known businessman William Babarute Webb at his home in Darlington in Westmoreland, and the last Wednesday's murder of the Hopewell High Bursar outside the school gate, which have taken place while an SOE was in place. These incidents highlight an administration bankrupt of ideas that continue to rely solely on ineffective emergency measures to curb the deeply rooted issues of crime and violence, he said. If the opposition was asked what it would do differently or what it was doing differently when the murder rate was just over 1,000, Bunting said the PNP, with fewer resources and less manpower in the security forces, had recognized that crime prevention efforts and social investment were as important or even more important long-term than crime control or suppression efforts. With that realization, he said, the PNP had instituted the United for Change program, which the JLP abandoned along with other social programs like the Peace Management Initiative and the Citizen Security and Justice Program. He said every crime prevention initiative was abandoned and all the ministry's resources were redirected to the failed policy of the militarization of policing and the serial and routine use of SOEs. After almost 8 years of abject failure, In keeping his promise of people being able to sleep with their windows and their doors open, imagine my astonishment when I read a media article recently about the Prime Minister touring Project Star in central Kingston, which is really a private sector version of the PNP's Unite for Change initiative. In the article, the Prime Minister declared it is a whole-of-society effort. 8 years along, and he finally realizes it is a whole-of-society effort. Jamaica has paid dearly in lives lost, 2,300 additional lives lost, because Prime Minister Holness has been a slow learner when it comes to adopting policies to sustainably reduce violent crime, Bunting said. JTA President urges members to make time for self-care this Christmas. President of the Jamaica Teachers Association, Leighton Johnson, is urging members of the country's education system to take time for self-care and reflection this Christmas. In his holiday message on Sunday, Johnson said as educators, teachers give so much of themselves on the job. Highlighting that the new year will come with its fair share of challenges, Johnson urged the teachers to rest and rejuvenate as 2023 draws to a close. During this holiday season, let us not forget to take care of ourselves as well, he said. Teaching is a demanding profession, and we often put the needs of our students before our own. I encourage each of you to take some time for self-care and rest to rejuvenate your spirits and recharge for the year ahead. Johnson also encouraged the teachers to embrace lessons learned in 2023 as they look to the year ahead. As we celebrate the birth of Christ, let us also reflect upon the valuable lessons learned during 2023. May we carry these lessons forward as we embark on a new year filled with hope, opportunities, and a renewed determination. Together we can continue to uplift the educational landscape in Jamaica, he said. Meanwhile, also noting that Christmas is a season of giving, Johnson also called on Jamaicans in general to extend a helping hand to those less fortunate. He expressed that Christmas should be a season of immense joy, love, and compassion. Thus, it is important that one offers help whenever they can. As we embrace the spirit of Christmas, let us also extend a helpful hand to those who are less fortunate. Our profession is rooted in empathy and compassion, and by giving back to our communities, we can make a real difference in the lives of others, he said. Jamaicans urged to use social media responsibly. Jamaicans are being encouraged to use social media responsibly as they go about their business this festive season. Don't put every bit of information on social media because you don't know if somebody is trying to track you down. Do not put your every move online, said Senior Superintendent of Police Stephanie Lindsay. You want to make sure that you are using social media in a manner that you are not vulnerable, she added. The head of the Jamaica Constabulary Force Corporate Communications Unit, who was addressing a recent GIS think tank, noted that people are often not aware of the risk when posting personal information on social media. She pointed out that children are particularly vulnerable as they are often not supervised when using the internet. They are sharing information such as telephone numbers, addresses, and so on, and we have persons who are trolling social media, pedophiles looking for children to target, pretending to be children themselves, and they are adults, she pointed out. SSB Lindsay said some unscrupulous persons are looking for and recruiting young people to be part of criminal networks. They are looking for those that they believe are vulnerable and susceptible to what it is that they are offering. So we must have the conversation with our children, and even as adults, we have to be less gullible when we are interacting on social media, because most of the times we are giving out information that can be detrimental to our own safety and security, she pointed out, emphasizing the need for people to be careful about who they interact with on social media. She said some criminals steal the identities and images of ordinary citizens, celebrities, as well as the people they know and trust. So whenever you are interacting with persons, you are of the view that you are interacting with somebody that is legitimate, but behind that is a darker criminal you are not seen, said SSP Lindsay. Director of Communications at the Consumer Affairs Commission, Latoya Halstead, who also participated in the GIS think tank, is cautioning consumers against sharing their purchase or whereabouts on social media. We want to encourage our consumers, especially the ones who, when they go to restaurants, are taking pictures of the food and disseminating it. They go on a holiday, they also broadcast that on X, formerly Twitter, Facebook, and Instagram. This is a way for criminals to know that you are not at home. They know exactly where you are, so they know exactly what to do in terms of committing crimes where your personal property is concerned, she said.